Carl and Dan here from Games, Brains and Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial.com for short, and it's track by track time as we're taking a look at an album by the band Basement. It's Colourmeinkindness, all one bloody word. They're an alt-rock band, alt-rock punk, rock, emo UK band, and this was their second studio album released in the ancient days of 2012, October 2012, via Run for Cover. However, if you do want to hear more modern versions, in 2022, they released a deluxe edition that featured an extra 4 alternative versions of tracks from the original album. So you get the album plus 4 alternatives. That is not the version we're doing. We're just doing the original track listing from 2012. A band I never even heard of before. This was your suggestion, and yeah, got an explanation as to why.
I really like the album.
Yeah, you really like this
really
one?
Good. Yeah, I do. I really, really do like this album a lot. Hits quite hard for me. It's not perfect, don't get me wrong.
Of course.
But yeah, I really enjoyed the album, and I hope that you would enjoy it too. I have a feeling you don't.
No, I'm actually not going to reveal anything. You're going to find out as I talk through the tracks what I kind of thought of this. We begin with Hole. This is an instant hit of alt-rock drama. It has a dark tone, but the tempo keeps things energetic. The vocals are layered nicely amongst the more frenetic rhythm, and it really hits hard in the chorus. I think this is a good opener and a good introduction to the album. I'd hope I had positive vibes going after this track.
Okay, I think this is a really fantastic track. It has like some really lovely melodies, as you put it, and I think it sets up the album really, really nicely. I really, really want to see it live.
Okay, so this isn't a band you've seen live before?
No.
Okay. I could see them supporting, like in a support slot amongst like someone like Stray from the Path or something.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, Covet. I'm going to go on a limb here and say that this track has some grunge inspiration and vibes, but twisted by the sound of emo rock. Tell you what, though, it's a banger. It is the first track where I really feel something about this band, and that comes from all parts of the band too. The mournful vocals, the exceptional melody, the heavier hits of instrumentation. This is excellent.
Yeah, this is the first Basement track I heard, and if you had heard of Basement, I would have said you would have heard of this track too. It is quite. I'm surprised you haven't heard of this song before.
Maybe I have, but I don't necessarily remember everyone.
It seems to be something sort of like a staple for this kind of music that people know. Oh, you know, covered by Basement. I absolutely love this track. Bit depressing, but it's got that really lovely solo at the end, so makes up for it.
It's a banger. It really is. I've got nothing to tear down about it. Spoiled. Things stay positive for me, as this has some killer riffs, some nice haunting melodic touches, but really excels when the tempo kicks up a notch and Basement let loose.
Yeah, 100%. I think this one, it reminds me of the time it was released. Okay. Big 2012 vibes, but not in a bad way. It's got a lot of super interesting touches, which I really enjoyed. High energy following the slowness of Covet, which is needed considering the next track.
Yeah, I don't really know when you say 2012 vibes, I've got no sort of placement for that, because I've kind of, aside from like the rise of sort of emo-esque rock music and stuff like that, late 2000s, and we start transitioning into that, but I don't really have a cut-off point for that music.
It might have been what I remember listening to a lot of sort of stuff like this when I was first getting into any type of alternative music.
Probably, you're absolutely right. Yeah, of course. Pine, a short slice of emo-tastic melodic rock. I don't have much to say about this. It's nice. It's not a bad track.
Yeah, so a more classic sort of style for this sort of music, almost Midwest emo-y at points, which I can really enjoy. Not a bad track by any stretch, but doesn't do huge amounts for me. Okay. It seems to be one of the more popular ones, which I don't get.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, because we're pretty much on the same level playing field at the moment as moving through this album. Okay, Bad Apple then. The slower alternative infused groove and monotone vocals gives this one a similar grungy vibe for me. It mows along without electing much excitement from me. That is until we hit the second half of the track, where everything steps up just an extra notch for more excitement. I actually got into this one more and more as it went on.
I feel this track is actually let down by its vocals. I really adore the instrumental, but the vocals aren't doing much for me. I feel like maybe with some higher melodies tucked in there, then this could be like a really good song.
Okay.
But it feels quite bogged down by these super low, dreary vocals.
Okay, that's quite interesting. Really is. Breathe, the longest track on the album, which also happens to be the more eclectic track on the album. One that has some stunning melody and is arguably the most effective and emotive track on the album personally. I really fell in love with this one. I wasn't bored for a second, and particularly love that it gets quite intense by the end.
Yeah, I said a heart wrencher, if you will.
Yeah.
It takes its time musically and pays off for it, exploding in what I can only describe as a tunnel of great musicianship and emotion. It almost feels like this one hurt them to make.
Okay. I get that though. I get it. You know, you hear songs like that, you think, man, after that you sat down and you're all breathing heavy and you're like, look, we need 5 minutes.
Yeah,
you know,
pretty much.
Control. While this one has moodiness too, it's got a hotter tempo, which is welcome after what we just had. Although the way in which the vocals draw does send this one spiraling off into the gloom at times. It's short though, so it doesn't overstay its welcome.
I think this song feels like what I can only describe as the sort of sinking anxiety feeling once you realize something is out of your control. Combined with the name of the song, Control.
Yeah.
Something you can't change or fix. And I think it's one of my favorites from the album because of how it evokes that.
Okay. I think that's definitely a more personal feeling then, because I certainly didn't connect to that at all. So if you do, as the way Dan did, fantastic. Black. I really get some Nirvana vibes in this track. Just a touch though, not so egregious that it's distracting, but the fact that it kind of came into my head meant I had to write it down. It's a solid number overall though, but it's probably the weakest track overall for me because I actually, this is a rare thing for me. I had to listen to this track several times to kind of put notes together. And even then I didn't have much to write. And it was like, it wasn't leaving an impression.
Yeah, this isn't one of my favorites either. There is stuff to enjoy here, but the instrumental lets it down, I feel. It's meant to be a more classic sort of punk hardcore song in the same veins of like the early Turnstile, but it feels like they're missing a key part of something that makes early Turnstile so good.
Interesting. Always interesting. Comfort's penultimate track. Quite melodramatic and sweet sounding. It's got depressive melody, but I like it. It's also short and to the point. This one didn't need to be long, and it delivers because of that.
Really lovely track, filled with some very nice melodies and some of the best singing we've seen yet. Highest he goes, it would seem. He seems to really push himself with those high melodies, and I think it pays off. Yeah, it's nice.
It's nice. It's exactly that. And as we reach the finale, I'll say right now, it was very pleasing for me to not have been bored by this album, to not be going, oh, I wish it would end, or I've heard too many tracks, or they've overdone this one or overdone that one. Well, we end up with one more track, and it's Wish. And it's a big finale, a really big finale. I am impressed by how this one plays out. From the initial eruption to the relaxed drop and drawling tone, to the high volume of the instruments and passionate vocal display. It's a powerful end. and ended up being one of my favorite tracks on the album.
Yeah, this feels like it.
Yeah.
It starts off with a certain energy that's trying to contain throughout the song. There are those hard-hitting lyrics, really, really nice riffs and a certain melodic twang. It builds itself up and up and up to return to that static lyric, but like way more ball to the wall. Massive solo and raging drums. It feels like the exact way to end this sort of album.
It is a good ender. It fits. It's the perfect place for it.
Yeah.
There it is. I didn't have a negative thing to say. At best, there was one or two I was like, take it or leave it kind of thing. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this. Having, like I said, as far as I can remember, you know, I am closer to 40 than I am 30 these days. So my memory might be going a bit. Couldn't remember ever listening or hearing a song by this band, but I came away thoroughly impressed and thinking, yeah, I wouldn't actually mind seeing some of these songs played out live, in particular, the ones that I've highlighted as being kind of the ones that really blew me away. But I thought they were very, very talented because, you know, you read a description and you see alt rock. There are many terms I hate, you know, genres that we lump bands in. Classic rock, classic metal or classic death metal and things like that always drives me nuts because what the hell is classic? What do you mean? You just mean from an era that sounds like that? But alt rock, alternative rock, that's one of the worst because that just is so fucking much. But I'm also not a big fan of the emo one because that's obviously often used in negative connotations as well. And if you see it, almost gives you an impression that it's going to be like, oh, it's going to be like My Chemical Romance. And you're like, no, not necessarily, and not that. And it just means emo, emotional. It might feel that way. But again, that's something that I don't necessarily think is fair to always describe a band because while they might be going for that, you may not feel it in a way another person does, but you may still enjoy the album musically and think talented and it's a good tune and it's got a catchy rhythm and you like the chorus and all of this, that shit. So basically, sum it up, this album impressed me. I enjoyed it a lot.
Top three?
Yeah, top three. It's Covet, Breathe, and Wish. Easy three.
So mine would be Whole, Covet, and Control.
Okay. Oh, I thought you were going to definitely do Breathe now after everything you said. Colour Me in Kindness. Although that actually, there's all my negative. If I wouldn't knock a point off if I was writing a review for this, but putting it all in one word, there's no, just fucking Colour Me in Kindness is a nice title. Why is it all one word?
That's me.
Yes. Anyway, Colour Me in Kindness by Basement. I really liked it. Dana really liked it before, but either way, we both had massive positive things to say. What do you think? Do you agree with us? Or do you kind of lean towards the other way? Maybe you're kind of like, this is overrated. Love to know what you think. Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?